So we're doing stuff. It's happening.
Oh yeah, we're recording.
Oh, dope.
So,
what's up, guys?
Hey,
we have our good friend Gary Malone here with us today. We're gonna
aloha.
Yeah, there's a round of applause. You just can't hear it because they're not mic'd up.
Everyone's cheering outside.
Everyone is cheering out, waiting with bated breath for this to post in 3 weeks.
what is bated breath?
It's like,
Oh, like the kind of little gasping.
yeah,
That's good.
they're waiting with bated breath.
I didn't know what that meant.
Well,
I knew what it
fact
meant,
for
but
the
I
day.
didn't know what it meant. I love learning.
Now we know. We're gonna just talk a little bit about music stuff. Gary is a musician, way more than Josh and I put together. So he's gonna learn us some things. Well, thank you for coming on, Gary. Appreciate
For sure,
it, man.
I'm super glad to be here.
Yeah, I mean, we've spoken at length a few times about some music stuff.
Hell yeah.
And I'm excited to get to learn more about your path and your journey to what's made you want to do this for like your life and stuff.
Love talking about it.
So where'd you kind of get started? Like what?
Growing up, my dad always played guitar. All like my whole childhood, he was in like a rock band back home and stuff, and he was a big like hair metal guy.
Oh,
him and
yeah.
all,
Oh, yeah.
him and all his like old high school friends. So they were playing music well into their like 30s, and so I just grew up with it around me. Oddly enough, while I can say my dad probably inspired me more to pick up a guitar than anyone, I'm completely self-taught. My
Really?
dad moved to Alabama when I was in 7th grade. I got my first guitar when I was in 8th grade, and I literally like burnt a pick down to nothing. I had one pick that I loved, and I think my learning curve on that instrument was all in that first year of playing, because I literally dissolved this pick into nothing.
That's awesome.
Just from playing that
Just
mug?
from playing, dude. Wore that sucker down. But before guitar, my dad kind of got me into piano. I had a keyboard. He showed me a few like little things to finger out, and prior to that, I had a drum set. The drum set didn't last long. I broke like all of the heads on the drum
So
set.
like a natural drummer, yeah.
I broke
that makes sense.
all of the heads on the drum set in the first like couple months of having it, and then we just ended up throwing it out. It was a cheap little drum set, but you know, I've always been singing. My dad's a great singer. My mom always sang and played a lot of great classics around the house when I was growing up. A lot of Celine Dion.
Oh,
a lot of
yeah.
Phil Collins.
Ooh,
So-
Phil Collins is the man.
Oh man, I got a weak spot for Phil Collins still because of that. You know.
So good.
So you started on drums?
Yeah, I did. Yep.
So you play drums, guitar, piano, anything else? Is there stuff that you're...
Well, you know, bass. I play bass. I'm not like a virtuoso on bass, but I know a couple of different techniques, some slapping and plucking techniques. And then
I mean, you know more
I
than
would say
me.
guitar is my main, but you know, I go to school for singing, and singing is definitely a big part of my musicality as well. So it's hard to choose a more important one in the realm of guitar.
If you
or
had to pick
vocals,
one,
know?
it'd be a tough call. It's like
Yeah.
picking a favorite child.
Well, that's not always hard.
All right, we'll just call it a Sophie's choice because it was tough for her.
Yeah.
So your parents played a big part in your early like music career stages.
Oddly enough, my dad being into hair metal and being in a pretty hard rock band and stuff, I think I got more of my heavy influence from my mom.
Really?
My mom was always listening to she wasn't listening to like super heavy shit, like nothing like the stuff I'm into, nothing like the death metal or hardcore stuff that I'm into, but she was always into like Disturbed and Pantera.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like I want to say one of her first shows was Pantera, and it was like a couple years before she got pregnant with me, and I just
Your mom goes hard.
Dude,
Your mom
I
goes
know,
hard to
man.
paint.
I know. It might not have been a couple years. I might have already been like a little thing at that point in her stomach.
That might be the reason you're into
kinda
that music.
seen Pantera, dude.
We had very different experiences. I was in my mom's womb for Janet Jackson. So
Whoa.
we are the Black Cat tour.
Oh, man.
So we are very different in that regard. But I mean that's awesome. Is your mom like super musical too, or is she just
She does it. She sings well. She doesn't like do it as a hobby or anything.
Yeah.
But you know,
But she's got a good voice.
I've grown up listening to her sing along to stuff or just singing melodies around the house cleaning, and I've always thought she had a beautiful voice, but she doesn't really like invest anything into it.
Yeah.
You know? But that's about the extent of her musicality, I guess. My dad, I like to call him just like a natural musician. He's got a good voice. He can play. Also, doesn't really dedicate much time to it anymore.
Yeah.
But he's still good at it. He retains all those skills and that playability.
I can't imagine having that ability to just be like, I haven't played this in 4 weeks. I guess I'm just going to be good at it again.
Well, oddly enough, I feel like I'm just going to get a little deep here.
Do it.
Maybe my family won't watch this. But, like, I feel like there was, like, people in my family that, like, didn't really accept me until I picked up an instrument and started really, like, finding myself in music.
Yeah.
And, like, obviously my dad's side of the family all admired his ability to play music.
Yeah.
We'd have get-togethers or cookouts or big family get-togethers, and he'd always play the guitar, always, every single time. It's without fail, every single time the family is together.
Of course.
My dad's playing the acoustic, he's singing, he's jamming, and now the past, like, I would say 5-6 years, we both do it. I've adopted it. I'm the one that plays the music at the family get-togethers now, and it's really weird that I have family members that kind of didn't really see me until I found my identity in music.
Do you think maybe a part of that could be that you didn't really know who you were until you found that niche? Or is that something?
Man, 100%. Yeah. My family knew that I was into music. Well, like I said, my dad got me into piano and drums. And eventually I picked up guitar on my own. But, they've always kind of known, but I don't think anyone took it seriously until I started taking it seriously. It was always just kind of like, oh yeah, Gary can sing. Gary
can do stuff. He's doing stuff.
Yeah, he likes music. But in 10th grade of high school, I had been in choir from 3rd to 7th grade. Stopped doing choir. In 10th grade, I ran into a guy that I would call my mentor. He kind of put me on the path that I'm on now to become a vocal educator. And someone had told him, he was the choir conductor at my high school in Mississippi. Someone had told him that I can sing. This guy did not leave me alone. He needed guys in his choir, apparently. So he did not leave me alone until I sang for him. And then when I sang for him, it got even worse. He
knew you could do it.
Yeah, he made me, it went from me singing for him in a room with just him to, these are all the students from my chamber choir, best choir at the school, sing for them. Oh. And I'm at this point, I had stage fright like hell.
Great.
And I'm just standing in a room of like all these 11th and 12th graders. I'm fresh out of 9th grade. And so I'm already intimidated. And then he's like, oh yeah, just sing. Sing.
You grew a ball.
And they all start barking at me to sing. So I closed my eyes and I sang. And when that happened, I can say that like really began my path on being an actual professional musician instead of just doing it for fun or wanting to be in a band,
Yeah. So you say you're in like some hardcore stuff. I want to know, especially in that scene, because I'm not into a lot of stuff like that. But who would you say is an underrated artist from that field, and maybe even just today in general?
The heavy.
Talk about heavy stuff. Talk about,
or even like, what are you listening to right now?
Okay, so I'm kind of having like an 8th grade, 9th grade kick right now. I've been listening to a lot of like August Burns Red and Killswitch Engage.
Did you see them when they were here a couple days ago?
That was the night of my open mic.
Oh no!
My best friend from high school texted me 2 days before, dude, come see August Burns Red with me. And I was like, hell yeah! When? Thursday. The show starts at 7. My open mic's at 10. So I had to bail out of that one. But that one was August Burns Red, Born of Osiris, and ERRA is like another pretty solid fucking metalcore band. But they're like newer. I'm not as into them. I don't listen to metal yet. I don't listen to metalcore as actively as I did when I was in 8th grade. So
that was the way to do it. That was the only way. So who would you say like right now as an artist for you, at least for your ear, is underrated, doesn't get enough?
I'm gonna say he's a popular guy. A lot of people know who he is, but not a lot of people really know like I would say his best material. Amos Lee.
I know that name.
People usually know Sweet Pea. Sweet Pea, apple of my eye. He wrote that song, and everyone knows that song. But his whole discography is incredible, man. I got into him well into already writing acoustic music and being an acoustic performer. But I can say getting into him a couple years after really taking that path, he reinvigorated my inspiration to play music, to play that kind of music. And he's just got such a soulful voice and such a great talent for storytelling through music. I envy him, and I just appreciate him so much. And I think not enough people really know who he is. Like most people that know Sweet Pea don't even know the name of the guy that wrote the song.
Yeah, I would. I knew the name. I just didn't know he was that guy.
Yeah. And I think he did like a couple songs for like a Disney soundtrack. What was it? Princess and the Frog.
Oh, that was a solid soundtrack.
Yeah,
super jazzy.
He wrote a couple of the songs for that soundtrack. He's a very versatile guy. He plays the Grand Ole Opry every now and then, so he's definitely revered in the country community.
Yeah.
He's got a very soulful, almost R&B, like buttery voice. So
love it.
A lot of his music almost has like an R&B, and not necessarily rhythm and blues, but more contemporary like R&B style that he brings to the table.
All right.
As well as he's got bluesy rock stuff, and I think he's got a couple of songs that border hip hop that he did as like solo releases, but he's just an all-around, I think, a killer songwriter.
Well, do you take... You're from the Mississippi, Tennessee area.
Oh, yeah.
Do you take any of that stuff into your music that you write and produce on your own?
Definitely, I think I do. When I was getting into guitar, I kind of did shit wrong. Like I said, I'm self-taught. I never really had any guidance. My level of guidance was the guitar music and like the guitar licks that I would learn out of my guitar magazines. I'd go to Best Buy and buy 2 or 3 guitar magazines from their rack, and then these usually have songs you can learn or just like periodicals from other guitarists.
Yeah.
So I did a lot of my learning just kind of jumping the gun, and I jumped right into trying to learn really complex stuff. And my dad grilled me about it all the time. You got to start with chords. You got to start with the basics. You can't just skip ahead. I totally skipped ahead.
Yeah, you skipped ahead.
I started learning Guns N' Roses and Metallica solos. The first 2 songs I knew how to play were Sweet Child, all the way through, were Sweet Child of Mine, Wish You Were Here by Pink Floyd, and oh man, it was just on the Seek and Destroy by Metallica off their first album. So I just jumped right into learning now I wouldn't really call it complex music, but for a beginner,
when you're starting out,
pretty advanced stuff. I just kind of jumped right into learning how to shred and play guitar solos.
It wasn't hot cross buns.
That always creates really interesting music too, because when you're a beginner and you don't know what you shouldn't do, it kind of lets you go down new paths.
Right, and I think I always encourage people not to say I knock getting lessons, because obviously you want to be the best at what you do. You work with the masters, with the people that have already done it, and I totally stand by that. But on the same hand, I think that doing things on your own, finding your own way to do it, not really letting other people influence your learning so much, you can really develop your own voice and your own style through your instrument that way.
Yeah.
And I've seen that in a lot of friends that are also self-taught, and I totally stand by that. Again, I could probably really learn something from sitting, even after playing for 9 years now, I could probably sit down with someone and really learn a lot from a teacher or an instructor. But I definitely like the way I did things, because now I learned all that complicated stuff at first, and then I've dwindled it down. I'm kind of doing a Picasso. He said I learned I could paint people perfectly as a child, but it took me forever to learn how to
paint like a child.
Yeah. And I kind of look at it that way. I learned all this complicated, fast, heavy metal stuff at first, and it got my playability up. I kind of really reached a lot of potential doing it that way, and now I'm writing.
You're just fine-tuning.
I'm writing simple,
the fundamental, the basics.
Yeah, I'm writing simple, acoustic stuff and simple, almost you could call it folk, like indie stuff.
And I think the really simple stuff is honestly more complicated, because for it to remain interesting, you have to know what to hit, when to hit it. It's like I've tried writing really simple stuff, and it just sounds simple. It doesn't sound catching.
I think one thing that I try to avoid in my music is I think you can hear when an artist is genuine. Like like Kendrick Lamar, for example.
Yeah.
That guy gets so much respect.
He's so good.
He writes because what he writes is he's like speaking truth. You know, he's saying things that he believes in his music.
Yeah.
And that genuine vibe comes through his sound. You know, you feel it when you listen to his music. Almost, I would say the same with Childish Gambino.
I love
especially
Gambino.
on that last release, man.
Awaken My Love.
Very emotional album. You know, and I think that a lot of songwriters kind of have stepped away from that. And like on the radio, for example, you know, you hear a lot of like the same type of ideas recycled around, and you can hear it, you feel it.
Well, there was that. I remember a couple years ago there was that when I think it was right before Katy Perry did the Super Bowl. She had that one song. It was super popular, "The Eye of the Tiger" or whatever. I don't remember what it's called.
Is that the one with all the memes in the video?
I don't remember. I don't really watch music videos. I haven't since like VH1.
I only saw that one because Mike sent it to me because it was just. It might not have been that song, but it just was full of
her
memes.
and Sarah Bareilles had like the same basic song, and it sounded almost exactly the same. And it was about like female empowerment, and it was not to knock female empowerment, but it was
right.
It was literally like listening to the same song.
Yep.
If they played back to back on the radio, you'd be like, man, this is a really long song. This is the same thing. But it's just crazy how songs all sound the same anymore, and like. To go back to Childish Gambino, I know Josh and I both love Donald Glover in every form he has.
Everything he's done,
guy.
yeah.
Incredibly talented guy. It's crazy.
The dude is Super Saiyan on every fucking level. It's amazing. But like listening to Awaken My Love just brought me so much more respect for him.
Yeah.
Because like he was like, you know, what do I do? And he's retired the Childish Gambino moniker and stuff. He's like, what do I do? He's like, Redbone was a Billboard top, 100 hit.
Yep.
And it was basically a gospel song. Like he's like, I got a gospel song to be on the radio, get regular airtime.
Yep.
Yeah.
He's like, so now it's time for a new challenge. Like retiring.
Is that
Gambino.
official that he's not
he's
doing
done
it?
with the Gambino moniker. Yeah.
I think that's great. I
Yeah,
think
me
he went
too.
out with a fucking bang.
Oh, so good. But he's got another album. He's talking about doing another album with RCA, but not under Childish Gambino. It won't be a Gambino album. It'll be, I guess, a Donald
Probably,
Glover
yeah.
album.
Well, it's so cool because he went from being like that skit comedy guy
Yep.
with Derek Comedy. And I know when I first heard that he was doing rap, I thought it was going to be joke rap.
Like Lonely Island.
Yeah, like Lonely Island. And then I watched the video. I'm like, oh, wait, this wasn't funny, but I love it.
Oh, yeah.
And
Freaks and
even
Geeks.
Was his sketch stuff, was that prior to his stand-up?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that was right,
Yeah.
right before.
I don't think I ever saw that. My first experience with him was Don Glover.
Oh, yeah.
The Don Glover stand-up. That shit cracked me up. And then I think I saw him in Community after that.
Oh,
I
He's
love that
hilarious
show.
in Community.
so good. He's just so versatile.
Yeah, man. Great.
He's like the potato of
And
actors.
even, I really like his role in. It's such a small role, but The Martian. You know?
Oh, yeah.
He's the one that fucking saves Matt Damon.
He saves the day.
He's the
dude.
one. He's the guy that saves Matt Damon. No, he's just so versatile. It's amazing. And I don't know, I'm sure you saw his Grammy performance where he did Terrified.
Yeah, man.
Chills, man.
I
Chills.
think, dude, after Redbone came out, I was like, man, gospel's one way to look at it. I think him, and I don't know if you guys are into Thundercat, but he and Thundercat are doing like this neo-funk. They've made neo-funk like a thing.
It's that whole album is funky as shit.
Those like his releases and Thundercat's releases could have come out in the early 70s and been Billboard top 100 songs.
I gotta look up Thundercat.
Yeah, me too.
I gotta do it now.
He's great, man. I play a couple of his songs on my open mics. You might recognize a few, but he's definitely now he brings a lot of jazz into it. Some of his stuff
like
is
that,
hard to digest.
Yeah.
I love that stuff, though.
Some of it is very hard to digest, but he's got a couple of tracks that are just straight up funk songs, and
I love it.
Beautiful. It's incredible.
I mean, I grew up listening to like a lot of like Stevie Wonder. Stevie Wonder was played in my house constantly, so I love that old R&B,
man.
like bluesy kind of little bit of jazzy feeling and
Yep.
stuff.
That
It's
groove.
oh my god, it's so good. Anytime especially like October, like you'll be skimming the radio and like anytime I hit Superstition, I'm like can't change it, can't not listen to this song. We're stuck here now.
Yeah, man. I used to when I was working at Meridian, I would have nights where I would only play funk. So I'd play like a lot of Stevie Wonder, a lot of Rick James, a lot of like George Clinton,
Rick James.
a lot of
George Clinton's great.
what is it? Cool in the Gang,
Oh, yeah.
Earth, Wind and Fire.
I love Earth,
You know, it's,
so good.
Yeah, man.
That's such an underrated time for music.
Right
now, like in the moment, everybody knew they were like, "This is amazing," but people now are just like, "I love mumble rap," and it's like, I mean, there's a time and a place, but like when September comes on, you feel it, man. You're like, it's a soul thing.
Yep.
I want to get your opinion on mumble rap because I disliked it for a long time, and then I was listening to some other podcast and it kind of got put into a new context for me. You can still with certain ones get a good feel for what it's like. There's this Chinese rap group that I listen to. I don't know what they're saying, but I get the feel. And I feel like that's almost it's just by doing tonal stuff, it almost makes it a universal
Well, you
sound.
know, I've heard people expand on that argument. You know that you're not necessarily listening to it for what they're saying.
Right.
You're listening to the music, and they will excuse the shitty things they say. Not to say it's all shitty, because I don't. You know, I have an opinion on it. It's not a terrible opinion. But you know, some of them kind of excuse the pointless things they say just as like added texture to the song. Like, you know, and
it fit there.
There are songs I can listen to. Not a lot of artists that I dive into in that genre, specifically. Really,
yeah.
I have a lot of. I know some people will say Post Malone's mumble rap. I have a ton of respect for that guy.
I love Post.
He's such a versatile musician. You
Yeah,
know, and
he's crazy.
And
good.
now all the videos are going around of him playing like Bob Dylan covers on his tour bus and shit.
Good.
What a versatile dude, you know, and
he's such a nice guy.
he seems
too.
like a great guy. Yeah, but
still the ugliest dude I've ever seen in my life.
I'm gonna go a different. Oh yeah, dude.
He's so unfortunate
He's
looking.
so ugly.
He's like the Casey Neistat of music.
Yeah, it's bad. It's not good. It's like, dude, what happened to your face?
Oh man, but like I said, I don't listen to a lot of it. It's hard for me to get into, and this is so weird. Everyone always has the argument for people that are into metal, like you can't like talk about lyrics. What the fuck kind of lyrics is like heavy metal music, you know? But like, it's so hard for me to listen to a genre of music where like a vast majority of the material is just talking about doing drugs and getting fucked up and like fucking girls, you know? Like I can listen to it. I can appreciate some of it, and like I don't like no disrespect to the guys that are writing it, but me personally, it's just really hard for me to get into it.
I mean, that's my thing. I love music just because it tells a story.
Yeah,
like that's my favorite part about it is that, I mean, you're a storyteller.
Yep.
And I respect. You know, I like rap. I listen to a lot of rap. You know, love Kendrick Lamar. I love Childish Gambino. Post Malone is quickly becoming someone I really enjoy.
Yeah, man.
Like there's just so much good stuff out there. I like Hoodie Allen is really cool. Watsky's really cool. Like I've started delving into like outside of the box kind of rappers.
Yeah.
And I really, really enjoy it. But I just like the mumble rap. I can't.
Yeah.
Like when I think I had a friend post on Facebook that was just like, "Hey, did you guys see that Migos is nominated for the album of the year?"
Oh man.
And it was like, it's official now. The Grammys are a joke. They're a joke. And like I have a playlist set up for when I work and stuff, and like I do bingo, and I just pull like top 40 stuff, and then stuff that I know has a good beat to it and stuff. And just randomly the other day I was playing a song and I was like, I don't know what this is. I don't like it. And I like clicked the tablet to change the song, and it was the Migos, and I was like, oh, that's why I don't like it.
Grammy winners.
Yeah, I was like, nope. And I just hit the next one, and people were like, hey. And I was like, sorry.
Yeah, man.
No.
I'm not gonna lie, dude. Nick used to play Migos all the time. All the time when I worked at Meridian, and I would change that shit every time.
Oh, it's just not. It's not my thing.
Yeah.
And I get people that like it, and I respect people that like it. But it's just like, and I know there's people that like. I listen to a lot of My Chem. I listen to Fall Out Boy. I listen to Panic at the Disco, and like that's not for everybody. But at least I know what they're saying.
Yeah,
like I think it's like it's something that's tied to your childhood too. Like we were talking about it because it's a very like.
Well,
it's super whiny.
Yeah.
Like I listened to a lot of Fall Out Boy and stuff growing up, but it's whiny. I know that.
Oh yeah.
Well, and I think I've gotten more respect. I listen to newer Panic stuff now than I listen to older stuff, and just like the last album for them, Brendan Urie did most of the instrumental tracks and all of the vocal tracks himself, like recorded the whole thing himself.
Yeah.
And that just gave me more respect for him
Incredible
as a musician.
Songwriter.
He's
incredible songwriter.
His live vocals are maybe the best live vocals I've ever seen.
I went on a rant kinda at Meridian a few weeks ago, just like how many fucking pop punk singers come into it and and end up on Broadway.
On Broadway, yeah.
That doesn't happen, you know.
And he got like really like people were like, "Oh, he can sing."
He's
like
an entertainer,
on Broadway,
man.
they were like,
Through and through.
"Oh, he can sing." Like it wasn't just like, "Oh, name recognition, like come on in," and like Billy Joe was kind of in when he was on American Idiot.
That's right.
He had a very small part, like he was Saint Jimmy, and he like didn't really have to sing that much. Like it was literally just like a come here, be part of this so we can
some fan service.
Exactly. But Brendan like got some acclaim for it, and they were like, "Oh wow, this dude, he can like he covered." I went and saw them last year, and he covered a Billy Joel song, and he covered "Moving Out," and I was like, "Whoa,
Yeah, dude."
and like if you have the balls to cover Bohemian, like
and do it well.
like, and he does.
Yep.
Like I don't think anyone should cover Freddie Mercury ever, because he's amazing. The dude could literally sing anything he wanted.
Yep.
Yeah.
And like for Brendan to have the balls to do that, I'm just like, all right, man.
He's got that range, man.
His range is
is
nasty.
incredible.
It's nasty.
It's crazy. People always ask at open mic, always ask me to play Panic at the Disco songs.
I like that you played New Perspective.
Yeah,
That's
right.
one of my favorites, and nobody knows.
A lot of
about
people
that
don't
song.
know it. Yeah, a lot of people don't know
Jennifer
it.
Body's soundtrack.
That's generally what I tell people. I'm like, okay, I'll play a Panic song. You probably don't know it. It's not on any albums.
No.
It's on a movie soundtrack.
Yeah, you can't even listen to it on Spotify.
The thing is, I know probably 5 Panic at the Disco songs, and the other ones I just can't play live at this point because his voice, the range in their songs is ridiculous.
He's insane.
You know, there are songs where it literally pushes my lower register, and then other moments of the same exact song, it's pushing my upper register.
Well, that's like Death of a Bachelor. It's
Yeah.
like he'll start down real low, and then like when he brings it up, it's just like, what? How
Is that coming from the same human?
This is you did this at the same time, and then like watching him perform it, and like he did. What was it? This is Gospel on a piano. He did like straight acoustic, just piano.
Yeah.
And then he got off the stage. There was like a little stage in the center of the Amway. Got down and walked through the audience, like high-fiving people, hugging people, singing Death of a Bachelor. Didn't miss a note.
Yeah, dude.
Nothing. And I was like, dude, this isn't fair.
It's crazy seeing his progression too, because like I remember when Fever You Can't Sweat Out dropped, they instantly got big, and they were up there with
they blew
Fall Out
up.
Boy and I almost said Lost Prophets, but let's
All the
not talk
Fueled by
about that,
Ramen
man.
people.
Yeah, the Fueled by Ramen stuff. They were.
But on those first big tours that they were doing supporting that album, he was pretty weak.
Yeah,
his
no,
voice
I
was very
remember-
shaky. He couldn't control his vibrato, and like there were some performances where people were generally just like, wow, like that wasn't a good performance.
They performed on the MTV Music Awards. They got the video of the year. I'll never forget. I watched this MTV Music Award, and they performed "Sins."
Yeah.
And I was like, that was bad.
I'm pretty sure I watched that performance as well.
Yeah,
He wore like the whole suit that he
Yeah.
had in the music video, right? Yep, I definitely watched that, and I
I
had
was
the
like-
same exact thought.
Oh, they're
Yeah.
not good.
How old was
live.
he when that dropped?
Like 18.
That's what I thought.
When
He had
Sins
to be
came out, he
real
was
young.
like 18, 19
Because that was like 2005.
ish, 5, 6.
I was
he just
in-
turned
I think-
30. He turned 30, 31, something like that.
Oh, so he's not much older.
No, he's not much older than us.
think it
He
was
had to have been like
2006.
18.
Yeah, it was something. It was something like that. He was a kid.
Yeah.
And then they toured that album for 2 years, and like you were talking the other day about like having like vocal tired, like
Yeah,
being vocally
yeah.
tired, and he was like, after 2 years, I was like, hey, I need a break.
Yep. It's kind of crazy, man. We talk about it a lot. A lot of the classes I take, one thing I like about Valencia, it's a smaller college, but it seems like the people there, the instructors and the educators there, they really want to like help prepare you for the experience that you're getting into being a performer. And a lot of them talk about, you got to sing properly, because there are people in the game, like a lot of those top 40 artists that go out, and there are people that do sing properly, and they still go out and they strain their vocals, and they have to take hiatus or get vocal surgery done. John Mayer, for example, it kind of changed his sound, not drastically, but it definitely changed his sound a little after he had to have that like open surgery on his vocal cords.
Twice.
I mean, it's a muscle.
Yeah.
Like, you
Yep.
got to treat it right.
And with me, I definitely feel like at some point I'm going to go down that road where I'm going to have to really heal myself, because like we were talking about on Thursday, you know, I had a throat infection for like, it kind of just lingered for a few weeks. And I'm realizing now that I don't think so much of it in the latter half of that was a throat infection as much as it was just my throat is tired.
Yeah.
My vocal cords are literally tired because I'm singing in my classes every day. I'm, you know, obviously I sing as like a hobby at home, and then I have that 3-hour stretch of open mic where I'm singing for 3 hours straight. You know?
Nobody's really coming up yet.
And it's gotten better. I think
better.
every week more and more people sign up. I think I'm really
Last week was a little nuts. Last week was a little nuts.
Goodness.
It got a little weird there at the end.
I heard the guy that had come on and like was like doing multiple songs, and then he would kind of like stop in the middle of a song and be like, all right, let's do this one now.
Yeah.
I saw him outside when I was loading my gear, and I didn't hear what he said, but I heard his girlfriend just saying, he like rubbing his back, like, "No, you didn't sound that bad. You sounded fine." And I was like, "Oh man, you could have like owned that better, man.
Oh,
you know, if he had gone up confident, knowing exactly what songs he wanted to do, and he stuck it out and did those songs, he probably wouldn't have ended up feeling bad. But like, he went up and kind of like made a joke out of it, and was doing like half songs, or he would do like one verse and be like, okay, those are all the words I know, let's do another one now.
Yeah. It was a little nuts.
It was a weird one.
It was a little nuts.
I kind of just my throat was so tired at that point, and Nick had already had other people sign up, so I just kind of
just let them
threw
run
the reins and let them do whatever they wanted.
Gary was just sitting there with a big old smile, just clapping away. He was like, I'm done. He's like, my time is up. We're good.
Nick tried around like 1:20, right when I was about to leave. Nick was like, oh, hey, this girl wants to do this song. And I was like, dude. I was just like, man, I'm tired. Like,
I got nothing left.
I'll let you take this one. And he ended up just taking over. But oh my God. I feel like it's getting to that point where before I was having to beg people to come up and play. And even then people weren't signing up to come up and sing.
Yeah.
And now it's to the point where the past 2 weeks, it's gone over. It's gone past the scheduled open mic. And you know, I end up staying late to let other people sing and stuff. So, you know, it's great. I'm not complaining.
How long has it been going on for now?
Oh, years. They just
I thought they took a break for a while.
They never took a break. So they had the jam band, I think, for 6 years.
Wow.
And this is Meridian Hookah on Alafaya, guys, by UCF. So make sure you go check out Gary on Thursdays.
10 to 1.
Just want to throw that out there.
10 to
PM
1
for
every
our
Thursday.
viewers. For our viewer.
We have 10 subscribers now. So
true. But so they had the jam band there that they were called Who Knows, and
So loud.
They were there. You know, it's a small venue. They had a full band set up. Occasionally they had a keyboardist. Occasionally they had a saxophone player, and it's just like a little rectangular building and full power amps and a full loud drum set. It just was so loud that people would complain every week. There were people that would ask like, "Oh, when's the band gonna play?" We tell them when the band plays, and they make sure they get the hell out of there before the band plays. And that kind of, I think, not that they're a great band. I always loved watching them.
Yeah.
It's just not a venue.
Not the right
it was very loud for the
not
space.
a good venue for that. I mean,
It's just very narrow.
Yep.
There's not a lot of space for sound to go, so it just bounces off
just
walls.
bounces around, reverberates like a
Mother.
like a mother in there, dude.
Yeah, it's bad.
So now that I'm doing it, you know, it's the tricky thing is advertising it, because you can't advertise legally. You can't advertise on college campuses for anything that is like alcohol or tobacco related. Mm-hmm. So I'm trying to figure out a way that I can advertise and reach that niche on the college campuses without necessarily doing that. I'm thinking, I just don't want it to be like I don't want to get in trouble, obviously. I don't want to get Meridian in trouble, obviously. But I'm thinking maybe I can just make flyers, just say Meridian. Don't, 18
don't put what
Meridian, 18 and up, open mic Thursdays, Don't mention that it's a hookah lounge, but just put on there that it's a weekly open mic from 10 to 1. I'll do the non-smoking file. Put the non-smoking $5 cover on the flyer, and I think that'll work. But I've got there's a guy now on Facebook that just posts every night of the week. His whole Facebook page is dedicated to open mics in the greater Orlando area. Mm-hmm. So I've got him. He's putting us on his page every week now, every Thursday, reminding people. My friend Troy runs an open mic from 9 to midnight, or 8 to midnight, I believe, at Piper's in the Cary Ford Conway area. And, he comes out every now and then and he'll do like a set at my open mic. I've been meaning to get out to his and try to kind of reach out to that clientele, I guess you could say. But I'm working on pulling a lot of people there, and I'm hoping, it's looking up. And I'm hoping it just keeps getting better.
This week was good.
Have you done anything with like Reddit? Like those?
I haven't actually. I'm not a big Reddit user.
Because there's a bunch of subreddits that are either for local stuff that's going on, or UCF has their own specific one. And I'm subscribed from back in the day, and every once in a while I'll see like, hey, is anything going on in the area? So that might be worth, because you can just post in there.
I should definitely look into that. I know a lot of people that are on Reddit all the time. So
yeah, we have a couple friends who are just straight up addicted.
Yeah.
Well, just to bring it back full circle, we've talked about the gamut of things. Is there any artists right now that you think have influenced your sound at all? Like you've done a lot of John Mayer. I love John Mayer.
I think as far as the realm of my acoustic playing, I think John Mayer is definitely the biggest influence. I can say Amos Lee is a contender for that.
Yeah.
But really getting into percussive style playing that I do, which percussive style essentially is just means like kind of slapping the guitar as you're playing and keeping a nice little rhythm with it, almost
it's like finger picking,
it's
a little bit more
finger picking
right?
with a little percussion, almost like emulating a drum beat with
like
the music.
that. Yeah,
I got into that from learning John Mayer songs, and that is a very big part and component in the style of songs that I write now, whether it be instrumental stuff or songs that I'm actually like singing over and writing lyrics to. So I think I can say 100% in that realm of my songwriting, John Mayer's definitely my biggest influence.
What other influences would you accredit to? Amos Lee, you've talked about.
Amos
John
Lee
Mayer.
for sure. A lot of Jimi Hendrix. You asked. I think maybe we just like kind of skimmed over it. You asked if like the blues background of and soul background of Memphis had affected my sound. Like I said, when I first started, I kind of skipped ahead and started learning solos and stuff, and a lot of that was blues.
Yeah.
A lot of it. And that has influenced my style now to where I can almost manage to kind of keep that blues undertone like in a lot of the stuff I write. Even like in my my death metal band, we're called Emperos. Even in my death metal band, I kind of every now and then we'll throw like a little blues lick in a guitar solo, and we can make it work pretty well. It's a really cool little mix of things, but
It's just that little thing for you in there.
yeah.
That's awesome.
It's like it's something that'll hit people in the subconscious too. That just those influences,
especially people
really,
that know what they're listening for.
Yeah,
They'll be
yeah,
like,
definitely.
Oh, that was not normal. I like that.
I just saw this guy on YouTube who does he does trap music, but then he'll throw in metal breakdowns into it. I forget the dude's name. I wish I could plug it. But
wanted to kind of segue into that realm so bad.
Beats.
Well, yeah, oh yeah. I'm big into house music. I was like really huge into house music when I was working at Meridian, just because AK, Emerita,
everyone,
everyone.
all of them. We were all like kind of listening to a lot of the same artists, and that got me super big into it. And I actually there's a Zed song. It's called "Addicted to a Memory," but
I love that one.
The that like little electronic part at the end is so sick as a guitar riff.
Yeah.
So I learned it. I learned it on guitar, and I was working on uploading a full guitar cover of that song, and kind of with like super distorted guitar, kind of like like the last minute and a half of that song could be a metal song, 100%.
That's kind of sick.
I feel like a lot of people that are into metal and into EDM can kind of make those same ties, because what other genres of music, using umbrella electronic, umbrella metal, including all subgenres, there aren't very many genres of music that, that are broad like that, where you get such a crazy array and spectrum of sounds and emotions depending on the subgenre of the music that you're listening to.
Yeah.
That's crazy. I mean, it's crazy. Like music is just so eclectic and so free form that it can be whatever you want it to be.
Yep.
And I think that's one of the things that like I listen to music constantly, mostly because I drive for work every day, an ungodly amount. But I find new stuff that I like all the time.
Yep.
And it's crazy. Just, like I like like I said, the storytelling aspect of stuff. And like, as someone who's been a writer and tried to tell stories my whole life,
Right.
And doing this is a form of storytelling. Like, I think, I respect that aspect of it so much.
Yeah, man.
Do you use Discover Weekly on Spotify much?
Sometimes.
I've used it.
Yeah.
It's pretty damn good.
I've got some really. That's how I found the front bottoms. Was just a random one thrown on there.
Well, I was playing NHL 18 in my room, and one of the songs from that soundtrack I really liked and caught my ear, and band Nothing But Thieves. I like them. That's something I just discovered, and their stuff's pretty cool.
I did. I think everyone on Spotify, they make like a time capsule for you.
Yeah.
Man, my time capsule is lit. I played it on the way to Jacksonville for a show a couple months ago, and every single song was literally a song that I listened to in 6th grade. Every single one. It was like a ton of Circa Survive, a ton of Seo Sin, a ton of My Chemical Romance, a lot of August Burns Red, a lot of Killswitch Engage. And it was like across the board. There were like country songs, pop punk songs, emo songs, metal songs, and it was all literally songs that I listened to in 6th grade.
You were like, this is the greatest thing
Every
I've ever
single
done.
song. I shuffled it, and I didn't have to skip a single thing. I loved every single song.
Is it a
up.
suggestion thing, or is it actually tracking what you? Well, I guess I don't think it was around back then.
And I know a lot of the stuff I literally hadn't heard since I listened to it in 6th or 7th grade.
Oh, yeah.
So
That's the best.
Oh yeah.
it's just I'm guessing it's looking at your taste and somehow predicting like, oh, you must have listened to this back then. But it works.
That's awesome.
I will say I still think Pandora has better radio stations.
Does
I
it?
agree with that.
Yeah, I think
I agree
so.
with that. When you play an artist station and plus Pandora, you can like add
Yep.
stuff to it to make it more like wide ranged.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas Spotify, you're like, play this radio, and then it's like 8 songs from the one band with like a song from someone who sounds exactly like them in between.
Yeah.
Like, so I'll play like Fall Out Boy Radio or something, and it'll be like Fall Out Boy, Panic at the Disco, Fall Out Boy, All American Rejects, Fall Out Boy,
Yeah.
and it's like, okay, give me something else now.
Right.
So
Yeah, I haven't had a good time with Spotify Radio. I usually just end up going back to a playlist or something, or a time capsule or Discover Weekly. But Pandora, one weird thing I realized, Michael Jackson's station on Pandora plays a ton of Prince. Prince's station on Pandora plays a ton of Michael Jackson.
dig it.
Really?
Yeah.
All right.
I love Prince. I love me some Prince. He was also
Man.
just amazing.
Great guy.
Amazing.
I recently saw a video of him like playing a guitar solo. It was an Eric Clapton cover that he and Tom Petty did live together, and it's just they're just jamming this Clapton song, and Tom Petty's holding down the rhythm guitar, and Prince is just shredding a solo over this Eric Clapton song, and it's incredible. I knew he was a good guitarist, but man, that guy, I feel like even as popular as he was, he's kind of underrated as far as the depth of his musicianship goes.
well, that's like
I think so.
a lot of people. My dad was like one of my first like forays into Prince. My dad told me about like he worked as a janitor in a record studio or like in a recording studio and recorded all of Purple Rain himself. Like played all the instruments, did all the vocal. Like the same
Prince
thing.
was a
Virtual.
janitor.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought
he
you meant
was-
your dad was.
No, Prince was a janitor and recorded all that stuff for Purple
Wow.
Rain. Him like in his free time. They were like, okay, once everything's clean, sure, you can use the recording booth, and he did,
Holy
everything
shit.
on Purple, everything.
Yep.
Insanity, insane. Like I. We talked about Brendan Urie and how he did that for the last album. He did most of the stuff, which is super impressive. Prince did everything.
Yep.
Yeah.
Everything.
It
You
was
get-
him and like session players for tour. That was basically it.
Yeah.
He was Prince.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There, he was like, "You're just good enough. You're just good enough. You're just good enough. Come on,
Yeah.
let's go. We're gonna make this work."
I love the movie Purple Rain. I love how they try to convince you that Morris Day and the Time are anywhere near as good of a band as Prince.
Oh,
Pretty
God.
weird.
Yeah.
They literally compare like a one-hit wonder band to one of the greatest songwriters of the century in that movie, and they try to convince you that band might be better.
They're like, "It's close," and you're like, "Is it?
No,
Is it close?
Not really.
Is it a documentary or I've never seen it?
No, it's
Purple Rain. It's. I want to say Prince wrote a lot of the movie.
Yeah, I think he did.
But it's kind of a movie that the album Purple Rain goes with.
Oh, okay.
essentially, That
Okay.
they made, but it's based. I haven't seen it in years, but from what I remember, they do like a big gig night.
Yeah.
And Prince is battling with this other band for like who's the best?
Who's the
Who's
top?
gonna rock
Who's gonna
the
get
show?
the spot?
Who's gonna rock the show and win? But that's basically the whole plot of the movie. There's like a little love on the side, but
Yeah.
Because it's
it's
Prince.
a weird movie. It's
not
not a great movie. I think Prince had a lot to do with the making of the movie, and he's not a
He's
film
a
director.
musician, not a director.
Fantastic musician, subpar actor.
Yep.
Subpar
yep.
actor.
Oh yeah, you get a lot of this in his movies.
That's his
Yeah,
face for
A
everything.
lot.
That's
of
what he
this-
did in,
a lot of
New Girl, too.
somber, emotionless staring.
Yeah, it's very much that. It's like, okay, let's go to something else, Prince. Can we try that again? You're supposed to be happy.
Show us your angry face.
And it's like the moments that he's not completely somber in the movie, he's like off the rails, like angry, over dramatically mad.
It's awesome. It's awesome. He was doing a lot of coke while that was happening, like fairly certain.
Oh man.
But no, I mean it's actually that the album and the movie. It's the only album movie combination that was ever #1 at the same time in the United States.
Whoa.
So when it was released, they're the only. That's the only movie ever to do that.
I did not know
wow,
that.
yeah, I didn't know
So
that.
that's a thing. That's a
That's
Prince
awesome.
fact.
I'm surprised that that Tarzan didn't take the cake for that one, man, because Phil Collins is incredible.
You have to look. Well, it's at the same time,
Right,
So
right.
the soundtrack may have been at 1 before the movie was released, and like, so it's kind of. I think Purple Rain was up there for a while. That's
yeah.
why. That's why it was like.
I mean,
that
it's
way.
still, that's a very, I think, cult. I think Purple Rain's a very cult. You could call it a cult classic. You know,
Yeah.
it's
I mean, a janitor recorded it, so you're right. who would have expected? That's the funniest thing is too, like just because of like doing trivia and stuff. I know I have a lot of useless knowledge. His first #1 hit wasn't like I don't think Purple Rain ever got to #1. His first
Yeah.
#1 hit was When Doves Cry.
yeah.
It was like people are like, what?
Purple Rain's such a great song. Though.
So good.
Oh man.
So
What a
good.
great song!
I love me some
if
Prince.
that comes on the radio, I jam it, and I might end up shedding a tear in my car, like
have
every
to.
time.
Like a
It's
little
so good.
It's a little bit.
I'm not gonna lie. I've been brainstorming on ways that I can play Purple Rain at my gigs.
You should do that.
and I'm gonna figure it out. A lot of people, I get a really good response from the R&B stuff that I play, all the Usher and the Aaliyah.
Oh, yeah.
I get and the Thundercat and the Childish Gambino. I get a great reaction out of people when I play that stuff. So I'm trying to implement a lot more of that into my sound, into my live sound.
People went nuts when you started playing Usher this week.
Yeah, dude.
They were pumped about it.
Yep. I think Usher takes the cake on that response, if not Redbone. Sometimes people go nuts because they're never expecting it. They're never expecting Usher either. I mean, I'm like a skinny white dude with tattoos. Like they definitely never expect me to play
They're like,
Usher.
he doesn't even know who Usher is. He doesn't know who Usher is.
So, but I was busking downtown for a couple weeks with my my old roommate. He actually just started studying at Berkeley this last fall. College of Music, Berkeley in Boston, not the California Berkeley. But he was busking downtown like every Friday and Saturday for a while. I think he racked up like $700 or $800 doing it for like
Damn.
a couple months. And I would go out with him, and on a Friday night, everyone's out there drinking. And it was right in that alley on Pine and Orange, or that
Oh,
big
yeah.
open lot on Pine and Orange. So everyone's walking by there. Everyone that's downtown is walking by you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And when I played Redbone, we would go from constant traffic to a mob of people right in front of us, just all
standing.
singing along, like drunk as hell, singing along, dancing. Girls would like stand there and shake their ass, and
That's
I
the way.
had a cop one time. These technically busking is illegal in Orlando. Busking isn't.
I would have never guessed.
Orlando is not kind to street performance. People do it, and the cops end up tolerating it, but there are times when they can just decide to be an asshole, and they can reprimand you, and they're
shut it
totally
down.
within their rights. You don't have a right in that sense. But my roommate kind of developed a good relationship with the other people that busk in that area and with the cops that were out there every night, so they never really bothered us. And there was one night where they had the road blocked off, so the cop cars are all right there on Pine, right in front of where we're playing. And this lady cop comes over while I'm playing an Usher song. And David pulled out his camera to record. She was dancing. She was dancing while I was...
That's
she was
awesome.
acting like she wasn't into it. She was trying to play it off kind of like...
She's like, I have an itch. It's not.
She was like, yeah. I mean, she was definitely trying to keep that straight face, but she was into the music. She was feeling it. And when David started recording, of course, she stopped dancing. And then she walks over. I think I was playing Nice and Slow by Usher. And after I got done, she walks over. She's like, you guys should like bump it up, play some Uptown Funk or something. Let's get it, like, let's get the energy flowing, and David and I just got such a kick out of that, man.
That's
because
awesome.
It's literally illegal. Cops could literally arrest me for doing that, and they came over to encourage.
And they were
us.
like, "Hey, play better,
Do more.
play that funky stuff." What are your feelings? I know he's from what I've learned. There's people that really not a fan of Bruno Mars. How do you feel about him? I think
he's a great singer. I think he's figured it out. He's got the formula down for success, for writing a good song. And I think what was the song he just put out with like Cardi B? I'm not a fan of Cardi B.
Finesse. I don't like Cardi B.
Finesse. That's a great song.
I
love that song.
Dude, you have to listen to Perm.
Yeah?
It's on his new album.
One?
Yeah. Perm and Chunky are both like just super 90s.
I gotta
funk.
say, I haven't kept up with like what new artists are releasing. I don't really keep up with a lot of top 40 stuff. I hear it, and if I like it, I listen to it. But but I don't really. I'm not out there to hear it as much, so I don't catch a lot of it unless I go out of my way. And I just saw, the whole Finesse music video. The whole point is like it's super like 80s retro.
Oh, yeah.
And it was like it's like a 80s remix, like retro type deal.
His whole album has that feel.
So I was like, hell yeah, I'm down for that. I checked it out, and the hook got me instantly. I was like, damn. And I haven't been into like Bruno Mars like that probably since high school when he put out that first album.
Yeah.
And funny story about Bruno Mars, actually. In 11th grade, I did my high school singing competition, and I got kicked out first round. I sang Grenade. Catch a Grenade? Is that
Grenade? Yeah.
I think so, yeah.
I sang a minute section of that song and totally butchered it. I was like nervous as hell. There were like 600 people in the auditorium watching, students, teachers, parents, and I just bombed it. Completely ruined it and got kicked out first round. And my senior year, I came back into the same thing, and I got runner up in the competition.
All right.
Runner up.
Rags to almost riches.
And the guy that beat me, so Lake Brantley decided to implement in our, we called it Brantley Idol, in our Brantley Idol singing competition, they wanted to implement text voting. So they pulled up a big projector, and they were like, if you want to vote for this person, text this number to this. This is going to sound so salty. I'm not salty at all. I'm not salty about this.
But maybe a little.
I'm accepting the runner-up because a lot of people told me that they wanted me to win. And
they just didn't text your name in.
Well, so what happened is apparently the system that they set up, I guess they didn't expect so many people to come out to Brantley Idol.
Yeah.
The system that they set up could only take so many votes. So it was a text pool to vote for who you thought would win, but once as many people as they had capped at the capacity.
Yeah, if it's 500, once it was at 500,
it was done.
That was it.
So, like, I had a lot of friends. I wasn't like a sports guy in high school. I played baseball for 7 years. Played baseball for 7 years. When I got into high school, they told me I had to buzz my head to be on the baseball team, and I said, screw that. So I quit. Nope. I miss it. I loved baseball, man. That was I'm not a huge fan of watching it, but I love the sport. I love playing it. So
underrated athletes for sure.
Kind of fell off the sports in there, and started getting more into music. Oh man, I lost my train of thought. Where was I going with that?
Brantley Idol. People were friends and stuff.
So a lot of people that we weren't like tight friends, but there were people from my classes that came out to see me at Brantley Idol, and it was awesome. A lot of people came out and showed support, and it was awesome to have people singing along and like calling my name out. But a lot of those people, they all kind of sat like near me and where my family was sitting. So between rounds, I would go sit with them. And after the last round, I went and sat down, and they were like, dude, we tried texting your name, and it told us that we couldn't vote anymore. It told us that voting was shut. So I'm like, wow, this guy just beat me by like a couple of percents of votes, and I probably could have won.
Because
I probably would have won.
It was rigged because it was rigged.
Lake Brantley wanted him to win. They didn't want you to win.
It was like
some home cooking.
It was like
going
the Democratic
on.
Party, dude.
That's exactly what it
essentially.
was. That's exactly what it was. Well, I know we're closing in on your time, but I want to leave off with one question, just because I actually started doing like therapy this year, and one of the things that came up in one of my sessions was, how do you perceive success on your end of the spectrum? And I think you and I kind of talked about it a little bit the other night. Just the ability to be successful as a musician is super dependent on the musician.
Yep.
So what is your barometer of success? Are you successful now? Do you see yourself becoming more successful or finally successful?
I think that I think success is a very ambiguous, like you said, it's a very ambiguous thing depending on the person you ask.
Yeah.
And especially among musicians. Some people just are hobby players. They just like playing shows. They're not really trying to get paid or make it a profession. I love music. And, you know, I've got my band, I've got my solo stuff, I've got my degree that I'm working on. And if any of those three things happen to go somewhere, I would be totally fulfilled and happy with that. And right now, I think I'm totally successful in context of my personal goals. I just love playing music. I love going out and playing music for people. I love my favorite moments at open mic or shows in general are seeing people out singing stuff back to you while you're singing, or just someone not bobbing their head or, you know, tapping their foot along. I love that. I love pulling people into that experience as a performer. And, you know, I think, like I said, with my own goals for the trajectory that I'm aiming for as far as being a musician, I think I am successful now. And I think that a big part of being a musician, especially now with like the state that the industry is in and the internet and streaming and pirating and all of that good stuff. I think in order to be a successful musician, your idea of success has to constantly adapt to your path. So right now, I think I'm pretty successful. I've got my gig. I actually just got invited to sing at the Rainbow Run, the 2nd year anniversary of the Pulse shooting downtown. Awesome. I'm really excited about that. Really, really excited about that. The guy that invited me texted me actually yesterday and said that, you know, he had basically shown everyone that's putting the event together and they all loved it and they want me to perform. So I got to go ahead on that. That's not until June, so got a few months. And, you know, they're still, it's pretty loose in planning right now. They said they'd get me the details as it goes on. But on top of that, I had a guy at this past open mic that wants me to go perform at his restaurant. We talked about that at the restaurant or at Five Guys earlier. But, you know, I have options now. I'm getting options, and these are all paying gigs. Yeah. So I'm looking at it. I love doing it as a hobby. I'll always play music, whether I'm making money to do it or not. The money is not the reason I do it. But if I can make a career out of this thing that I love so much, why not? I hear a lot of people kind of throw out the idea that money can like corrupt the thing you love if you just start doing the thing you love for money. But I think there's definitely a medium to do what you love and not let the money challenge your integrity in that thing.
Yeah, I think money only taints it if you let it. You know, if you're willing to bend to what people want to get more money, or, you know, like to reference back again to Donald Glover, you know, he wanted to do Atlanta and he wanted to do Atlanta his way. So he took less money, and they were like, okay, if you're going to take less money, you can edit, you can direct, you'll have final say, you'll have final cut and all that other stuff. So I think money only lets you, it only corrupts things if you let it corrupt you.
Of course, I totally agree, man. And I think that's why, like with this, so my success, I look at it as like, there's so many roads. Like I said, my band, my acoustic project, my degree I'm working on. Like we were saying earlier, I really want to get into writing like electronic music. Yeah. So there's just so many different paths looking at my trajectory that I could go down, and I just want to keep doing it all. I want to completely immerse myself in music and just take it as it comes, you know? And if I finish my degree and I start teaching, like I said, my major is vocal education. My ultimate goal is to, through that route at least, is to become a choir director. I really want to have my own choir. I don't know if I want to do college or high school yet, but I really want to be a choir director. That kind of invigorated my life as a musician. That really, really made me realize you can do it. Yeah. And I think a lot of people, speaking of success again, and I think a lot of people believe this lie that you can't have success as a musician. That if you're not in the top 40, if you're not one of the big shots, you won't have success in this arts profession. And I think that's total crap. I think that's bull crap. I think it's my friend David, you know, he's a couple years older than me, and he's like a little behind the curve, but he started getting into music 2 or 3 years ago, and he has grinded so much. He is totally shameless. He promotes himself. He doesn't give a hell what anyone thinks, and he's at Berklee now. 3 years after becoming a singer and starting to work on his voice, he's at one of the best schools of music in the nation. You know, and
that's crazy.
It's because he put in the work.
He's gotten private. He gets private auditions for The Voice when they come to town. He gets private auditions for American Idol. Like, they reach out to him and email him and say, "Hey, do you want to come audition?" So He's doing it just from putting the work in. I think any route you go, obviously music is my forte, so it's the route I know. But I genuinely think any route you go, anything you want to do, it's going to sound cheesy, but I think anyone can do it. I think it's just a matter of banging your head against the wall until you get that good break, you know.
Yeah,
awesome.
I fully agree.
I think you can do that with music. I think you do that with anything
Yep.
in life. Like just keep going until you get where you want to go.
And I think a lot of people get discouraged in music. I think a positive outlook is kind of a hard thing to have when you're going down a path where, kind of like philosophy majors. I'll use that as an analogy. Going down a path where a lot of people are going to degrade and kind of doubt your ability, not necessarily for personal reasons, but just out of the stigma of doubting anyone's ability to succeed in these areas.
Yeah.
It can be kind of difficult to get through all those challenges, listening to people doubt that so much. But, you know, I just think positivity is like the name of the game, dude. And I think,
and if you're in it for the right reasons, you're not going to let it
like I said,
affect you.
I think it's just persistence. It's persistence. It's consistency. It's just doing it until it works for you, you know? So
awesome.
Feel it. Well, it's a good note to go out on.
Yeah, absolutely. Gary, thanks so much for hanging out with us today.
I really appreciate it. Thanks for
giving
inviting
us
me.
a peek. I'm sure I'd love to have you back on after you do the Rainbow Run.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
That'd be awesome to talk about your
I'm
experience doing that.
super excited for that.
And then see where you're at in a couple months. See what's happening. You should be getting ready for
Definitely.
like graduating thingies, right?
Well, so I found out I met with an advisor the other day, and I've got a couple of classes that I kind of skipped.
Oh, nice.
So ideally, I'll be graduating in spring of 2019, but I guess we'll see.
Got a little bit of time.
Yeah.
Do you have any social media that people can find you on?
So my Instagram page is Gary Malone Musique, music spelled MUSIQUE. That's probably my biggest social media page right now for my music. My band page is facebook.com/Emperos Metal. I have a YouTube channel. It is under the same name as my Instagram. However, all of the posts on my YouTube channel are from high school. So you're more than welcome to check it out.
So that's the number one place to go.
You're more than welcome to check it out.
Yeah.
But, you know, if you go to that one and then go to the Instagram, you'll see a lot of progress in my life as a musician. I'll put it that way.
Oh, that's awesome.
Well, we'll definitely link to those below if anybody wants to go check your stuff out and whatnot. Yeah. But yeah, man, thanks again for coming and hanging out. Super excited for all the stuff you got working, and I'm sure I'll see you at some open mics
for sure
in the future.
For sure. Thanks for having me on, guys.
Yeah, of course.
Great time,
yeah, man.
Great. So you can find us at the Junk Drawer Show. No, yep, that's it.
That's it.
The Junk Drawer Show.
That's it. The
All
Junk
right.
Drawer Show.
That's it.
Bye.